In 1955, a Kansas farmer could shoot a hawk off his fence post, dump used motor oil on weeds, and burn his corn stalks before sundown. Today, each one of those acts could cost him over $10,000 in federal fines. But here's the twist. Some of these forgotten methods actually worked better than anything sold at Tractor Supply today. Number 14 on this list was outlawed in 1972, but soil scientists at Iowa State just confirmed it produced healthier topsoil than modern no-till farming. And number 3, the EPA banned it, but research published in 2023 says we threw out one of the most effective tools American farmers ever had. Hit subscribe before we start, because what your grandfather knew about farming might shock you. Let us count down the 25 forgotten farming methods that could land you in court today. Number 25, burning the stubble field after harvest. Every fall in the 1950s, you could drive across Iowa or Nebraska at dusk and see orange ribbons of fire snaking across cornfields and wheat stubble. Farmers torched their fields after harvest because it killed weed seeds, knocked down corn borer larvae, and returned a layer of pure mineral ash to the soil overnight. A box of farmers' matches cost a nickel and saved a man 2 days of disking. The smoke smelled like fall itself, sharp and woody, and the next spring those burned fields came up cleaner and stronger than anything chemically treated. Today, that fire would cost you. Most states now require an open burn permit, and counties from California to Illinois have outlawed agricultural burning entirely under air quality rules. Step into a field with a road flare in 2026, and you can be hit with fines starting at $500 and climbing past $10,000 if smoke drifts onto a highway. Number 24, the hand-dug barnyard well. Before drilled wells became standard in the 1960s, almost every farm in America had a shallow, stone-lined well dug by hand, usually within 100 feet of the barn for convenience. A man with a shovel, a pickaxe, and 2 strong sons could put one down in a week. Cold, sweet water came up in a galvanized bucket on a rope, and the same well watered the cattle, the kitchen, and the laundry. The problem was that those wells sat right next to the manure pile, and nobody thought twice about it. Today, EPA wellhead protection rules and state setback laws require drinking water wells to be located a minimum of 100 feet from livestock confinement areas, and many states require 200 feet or more. Dig a new well next to your barn now without a county permit and a contractor certification, and you are looking at fines, mandatory abandonment, and remediation costs that can crack $20,000. Number 23, lead arsenate on the apple orchard. From 1900 until the late 1940s, every commercial apple grower in Washington, Michigan, and Virginia sprayed his trees with lead arsenate, a chalky white pesticide that killed codling moth larvae. It worked better than anything before or since. Yield shot up, wormy apples vanished. A barrel of the powder cost about $3 and lasted a season. Then, in the 1950s, scientists started measuring the soil under those orchards and found something disturbing. Lead and arsenic do not break down, ever. Today, former orchard land in central Washington still tests at lead levels that violate residential cleanup standards, and the EPA has spent over $20 million on remediation. Lead arsenate was officially canceled for orchard use in 1988. Apply it now, even on your own property, and you face federal fines under FIFRA, starting at $30,000 per incident, plus state hazardous waste charges. Number 22, free-range chickens on the county road. In 1948, a hen could walk wherever she pleased. Farm wives kept 50 or 60 layers that scratched in the yard, crossed the road into the neighbor's pasture, and roosted in the apple tree at night. Egg production was nothing like a confinement house, but the eggs had golden yolks, and the hens ate ticks, grasshoppers, and weed seeds for free. Lost to coyotes and hawks was just part of the deal. Today, depending on your state, letting poultry roam onto a public road can trigger livestock at large fines, and any neighbor whose car gets hit by a flying hen can sue for damages. Worse, since the 2015 avian influenza outbreak, United States Department of Agriculture biosecurity guidance, and many state laws now restrict free-range birds during outbreaks, with quarantine violations running from $1,000 to over $20,000. Number 21. Castration with a clean pocket knife. Every spring, ranchers across Texas, Montana, and the Dakotas castrated their bull calves the same way their grandfathers did. A sharp case knife, a clean cut, a swipe of pine tar, and the calf was back on his feet in 5 minutes. No anesthesia, no vet bill. A good hand could work 300 head a day. The animals healed fast in the dry spring air, and most ranchers swore the calves did better than their modern counterparts. Today, while on-farm castration is still legal in most states, doing it without anesthesia on cattle over a certain age is increasingly restricted. California's Proposition 12 and several state veterinary practice acts now require licensed pain management for older animals, and animal welfare statutes can trigger criminal charges. In some states, doing it the old way on a calf over 3 months old can mean misdemeanor cruelty charges and fines up to $5,000 per animal. First pattern break. Now here is where it gets interesting. Number 20. Turning hogs into the oak woods. In Appalachia, the Ozarks, and across the Upper South, farmers used to drive their hogs into the hardwood forests every fall to fatten on acorns, hickory nuts, and beech mast. Razorback hogs grew sleek and heavy on free food, and the resulting pork had a nutty, complex flavor that no corn-fed hog could match. Spaniards started this practice in Florida in the 1500s, and it ran continuously in some hollers until the 1970s. A farmer might turn out 40 hogs in October and round them up in December, weighing 200 pounds each, having spent $0 on feed. Here is what is wild. In 2019, food scientists at the University of Tennessee analyzed acorn-finished pork and found omega-3 levels 3 times higher than commercial pork, plus a fat composition closer to wild boar. The old method produced healthier meat, but today, U.S. Forest Service rules ban free-ranging livestock on national forest land. Most state forests do the same, and any hog found roaming can be classified as feral and shot on sight. Penalties for releasing domestic swine into the wild now exceed $5,000 per animal in states like Texas and Missouri. Every farm had one. The corner of the field where you piled fence repairs, dead branches, blowdowns, and old lumber until November, then lit it on a still evening and watched it burn for 3 days. Kids roasted hot dogs. The ash got spread on the garden. It was free disposal, free fertilizer, and free entertainment. Today, every state has open burning regulations administered by air quality boards, and most require a permit obtained 48 hours in advance. Burn a brush pile in a county with a burn ban on a red flag day or anywhere near a structure, and you can face fines of $1,000 per violation, plus full firefighting recovery costs if the fire department has to roll a truck. Number 18. Selling raw milk at the farm gate. Until the 1950s, the standard way Americans bought milk was to drive to a neighbor's farm with an empty quart jar. 2 cents a quart, straight from the cooler, still warm from the cow. Children grew up on it. Cooks made the best butter and cottage cheese imaginable. The cream rose so thick you could float a coin on it. Then, a series of brucellosis and tuberculosis outbreaks pushed states to mandate pasteurization, and the FDA banned interstate sale of raw milk in 1987. Today, 20 states still allow on-farm raw milk sales under varying restrictions, but 19 states ban it outright, and selling raw milk across state lines remains a federal offense. A Pennsylvania farmer was fined over $5,000 and ordered to destroy his inventory in 2022. Cross the wrong state line with a quart jar, and you commit a federal crime. Number 17. Shooting hawks off the fence post. Every farm boy in 1950 grew up with a single-shot .22 and clear instructions. If a hawk took a chicken, you took the hawk. Eagles got the same treatment if they bothered the lambs. Predator control was just part of farming, and most counties paid bounties on great horned owls, red-tailed hawks, and bald eagles. The Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act of 1940 changed that, but enforcement was loose for decades. Then the Migratory Bird Treaty Act got teeth in the 1970s. Killing a single red-tailed hawk on your own property now carries a federal fine of up to $15,000 and 6 months in jail. Shoot a bald eagle and you are looking at $100,000 and 1 year in federal prison. The bird that ate your chicken is more legally protected than your livestock. Through the 1990s, dairy farmers across Wisconsin, New York, and Pennsylvania routinely docked the tails of their Holsteins. The reasoning was sanitary. A swinging tail covered in manure splashed the milking parlor, contaminated the udder, and made the milker's job miserable. A rubber band applied to the tail at 6 months caused it to fall off painlessly within a few weeks. Most herds were docked, and milk quality scores improved measurably. Then in 2009, California became the first state to ban routine tail docking on dairy cattle, citing animal welfare. Rhode Island, New Jersey, Ohio, and others followed. The American Veterinary Medical Association now opposes the practice. Dock a tail today in a banned state, and you can face cruelty charges and fines up to $5,000 per animal, plus loss of your dairy certification. Number 15. On-farm slaughter and direct sale. Until the Federal Meat Inspection Act tightened in the 1960s, a farmer could butcher a steer in his own barn, hang it in the smokehouse, and sell quarters to neighbors out of his pickup truck. The meat was fresh, traceable, and cost half what the grocery store charged. A whole hog ran maybe $40 in 1962, and you could feed a family for 6 months. Today, USDA rules require any meat sold to the public to be processed at a federally inspected facility, with very narrow exceptions for custom-exempt slaughter where the buyer must own the animal beforehand. Sell a butchered chicken to a stranger from your tailgate without inspection, and you can face federal fines up to $10,000 per offense and potential criminal charges. The only legal way is the cumbersome custom-exempt route, and even that varies wildly by state. Second pattern break. This next one is the saddest loss on the entire list. Number 14, mercury-treated seed wheat. From the 1920s through the early 1970s, American wheat, barley, and oat farmers planted seed coated in a pink mercury fungicide called Panogen. It cost about $1 a bushel to treat, and it absolutely worked. Smut, bunt, and seed-borne fungal diseases that had wiped out 1/10 of the crop suddenly disappeared. Yields jumped 15% overnight. So here is the part nobody talks about. Soil scientists at Iowa State, in a 2018 study reviewing 50 years of soil samples from old wheat country, found that mercury-treated seed plots had higher microbial diversity decades later than chemically treated controls, because the mercury knocked out competing fungi without harming bacterial communities. The treatment was banned by the EPA in 1972 after cases of mercury poisoning. Included was the horrifying 1969 Alamogordo incident, when a New Mexico family ate treated seed grain and 3 children developed permanent neurological damage. The ban was absolutely necessary for human safety, but what we lost was a fungicide that, used properly on seed only, was cheaper and more effective than anything available today. Apply Panogen now, and you face federal fines starting at $50,000 under FIFRA, plus hazardous waste charges that compound by the day. Number 13, strychnine for predator control. Out west, every sheep rancher in Wyoming, Montana, and the Dakotas kept a tin of strychnine sulfate on the high shelf of the tack room. Coyotes were killing 30,000 lambs a year by the 1950s, and a rancher would lace a dead ewe carcass with strychnine and leave it on a ridge. Coyotes died within yards of the bait. The same compound was used by USDA agents to control prairie dogs, ground squirrels, and rats. A pound of crystals cost about $2 and protected a flock for a year. The EPA cracked down beginning in 1972, and today strychnine is permitted only for below-ground rodent control by certified applicators. Use it for predator control on your own ranch and you commit a federal crime, with fines up to $50,000 per incident, plus possible felony charges if any non-target species, especially eagles or condors, are killed. From 1945 to 1972, every cotton farmer in Mississippi, Alabama, Texas, and Arizona crop dusted his fields with DDT 3 or 4 times a season. The boll weevil that had nearly destroyed southern cotton in the 1920s suddenly vanished. Yields doubled. Mosquitoes around farm ponds disappeared, and so did malaria across the rural South. A pound of DDT cost 20 cents, and a 100-acre cotton field could be sprayed for under $15. Then Rachel Carson published Silent Spring in 1962. Biologists documented eggshell thinning in raptors, and the EPA banned DDT in 1972. The ban saved the bald eagle, the brown pelican, and the peregrine falcon. But cotton farmers spent the next 30 years paying 10 times more for less effective pesticides. Use DDT today, and you face federal fines that start at $37,000 per day of violation, plus Superfund liability if it contaminates groundwater. Number 11. Plowing the wetland for cropland. Across the Midwest, especially in Iowa, Minnesota, and the Dakotas, farmers drained wet meadows and prairie potholes for over a century. They installed clay tile drainage systems, dug ditches, and converted swampy bottoms into corn ground. By 1985, 50% of America's original wetlands had been converted to farmland. The land was rich, the corn was tall, and a 40-acre swampy meadow could produce $8,000 of corn instead of pasturing 6 skinny cows. Then came the swamp buster provisions of the 1985 Farm Bill, followed by expansions of the Clean Water Act. Today, drain a wetland of even half an acre without an Army Corps of Engineers Section 404 permit, and you face federal civil penalties up to $56,000 per day, plus mandatory restoration that can run $250,000 on a small project. Number 10. Letting the cattle drink from the creek. For 2 centuries, the standard way to water cattle was to fence the pasture so the herd had access to a creek, river, or pond. Free, simple, and effective. The cows drank, cooled off in summer, and stomped down a muddy bank that everyone considered normal farm wear. Then water quality science caught up. Studies in the 1990s showed that cattle in streams contributed massively to E. coli loading, sediment runoff, and phosphorus contamination downstream. Today, EPA regulations under the Clean Water Act plus state riparian rules increasingly require fenced streams with pumped water systems. In states like Vermont, Maryland, and Oregon, allowing direct livestock access to a designated waterway can result in fines of $1,000 to $10,000 per day, plus mandatory fencing installation. Your great-grandfather watered 300 head from a creek for free. Do it now, and the bill arrives by certified mail. Third pattern break. Get ready for the most controversial one yet. Up until the 1940s, smaller American farms, especially Chinese-American truck farms in California and immigrant farms in the Northeast, used human waste collected from outhouses and city cesspools as fertilizer for non-food crops and orchards. The night soil practice came from China, where it had been refined over 3,000 years, and it produced spectacular yields on cabbage, melons, and apple trees. A farmer paid the city sanitation man 50 cents to dump a wagon load of cesspool sludge, and that load fertilized half an acre. Today, even modern treated biosolids from sewage plants are tightly regulated under EPA Part 503 rules, requiring testing for pathogens, heavy metals, and pharmaceuticals. Spread untreated human waste on a field today, and you commit a federal Clean Water Act violation and potentially a public health crime with fines starting at $25,000 per day. Number 8. The Open Hog Lagoon. From the 1960s through the 1990s, every confinement hog operation in North Carolina, Iowa, and Missouri stored manure in giant uncovered earthen pits called lagoons. The waste from 1,000 hogs went into a clay-lined hole the size of a football field, sat there until it broke down anaerobically, and was eventually pumped onto fields. The system was cheap, simple, and produced an unholy stench you could smell 3 miles downwind. Hurricane Floyd in 1999 breached dozens of North Carolina lagoons, dumping millions of gallons of hog waste into the Neuse River. The state moratorium that followed was made permanent in 2007, banning new uncovered lagoons. Build one today, and you face state and federal fines that can exceed $100,000, plus criminal charges if the lagoon discharges to surface water. Number 7. Lead shot for varmint duty. Every farmer kept a 12-gauge shotgun in the corner of the kitchen loaded with lead birdshot. Crows in the cornfield, raccoons at the chicken coop, woodchucks in the alfalfa, all got the same treatment. A box of lead shells cost $2 and lasted a season. Then waterfowl biologists started counting dead ducks that had swallowed spent lead pellets in marshes, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service banned lead shot for waterfowl hunting in 1991. California extended the ban to all hunting in 2019, and federal lands followed. Use lead shot today on a designated wetland or federal property, and you face fines up to $15,000 and potential confiscation of firearms. The same shotgun your grandfather used to defend his garden is now contraband in a growing number of states. Number 6. Burning farm trash. Every farm had a 55-gallon burn barrel by the back fence. Into it went paper feed sacks, cardboard, broken plastic buckets, used motor oil rags, old fertilizer bags, and whatever else accumulated. A match in the evening took care of a week's trash. The black smoke smelled like ammonia and burning plastic, and nobody thought anything of it. Today, EPA studies have shown that burn barrels release dioxins, furans, and PCBs at rates higher than commercial incinerators because they burn at low temperatures with poor oxygen. Most states now ban household and farm waste burning entirely, and counties enforce it aggressively. Burn a barrel of farm plastic in 2026 and you face state air quality fines from $500 to $10,000 per violation, plus federal RCRA charges if the trash contained pesticide containers. From 1951, when the Food and Drug Administration approved tetracycline as a feed additive, until 2017, every American hog, cattle, and poultry producer mixed subtherapeutic antibiotics into the daily feed ration. The animals grew faster, converted feed more efficiently, and stayed healthier in crowded conditions. A bag of feed-grade Oreomycin cost a few dollars and increased weight gain by 10%. Then antibiotic resistance became a global health emergency. The Food and Drug Administration's Veterinary Feed Directive of 2017 effectively ended over-the-counter antibiotic feed additives. Today, every medicated feed requires a veterinary prescription. Every dose must be documented, and using antibiotics for growth promotion is flatly illegal. Violations of the Veterinary Feed Directive can result in fines starting at $15,000 per incident and loss of producer licensing. Number 4. The unpermitted stock pond. Every rancher in dry country built stock ponds the same way for 200 years. Find a draw or a low spot, drag a bulldozer across it to throw up a dam, and let it fill with the next rain. A pond was $30 of fuel and a Saturday's work, and it watered cattle for 50 years. Then the Clean Water Act of 1972 redefined waters of the United States, and the Army Corps of Engineers began asserting jurisdiction over even ephemeral drainages. A 2017 Wyoming case made national news when a rancher was fined over $20 million for building a stock pond. Today, building a pond on any land that drains to a navigable waterway requires a Section 404 permit. and the application process can run a year and cost $10,000 in engineering fees alone. Skip the permit, and you face daily federal civil penalties that can bankrupt a family operation. Number 3. Paris green for the potato beetle. Long before lead arsenate, American potato farmers fought the Colorado potato beetle with Paris green, a brilliant emerald green compound containing copper acetoarsenite. From 1870 to 1900, every potato grower in Maine, Idaho, and New York mixed the powder with flour and dusted his rows. It killed beetles instantly and stayed effective for weeks. 1 pound cost 40 cents and treated 5 acres. Now here is the wild part. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Pest Science reviewed historical pesticide records and found that Paris green, used at recommended rates, controlled potato beetles more effectively than any single modern compound because the beetles never developed resistance to arsenic compounds. Modern farmers spray pyrethroids, neonicotinoids, and spinosad, and the beetles develop resistance to each within a few seasons. Paris green was banned for agricultural use in the 1960s due to arsenic toxicity, and possessing or applying it now triggers federal hazardous substance charges with fines starting at $50,000. Number 2. The contourless hillside plow. Through the 1920s, hill farmers in Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania plowed their slopes straight up and down. It was simply easier with a horse and a walking plow to follow gravity than to traverse the hillside. Every rain washed topsoil into the creeks, but the practice was universal because nobody knew better. The Dust Bowl and the founding of the Soil Conservation Service in 1935 changed everything. Hugh Hammond Bennett showed Congress that contour plowing reduced erosion by 70%, and federal cost-share programs spread the practice nationwide. Today, federal crop insurance and farm program eligibility require highly erodible land to be farmed under an approved conservation plan. Plow a 12% slope straight downhill in 2026, and you can lose your USDA program eligibility, lose your crop insurance, and face fines under state agricultural runoff laws starting at $1,000 per acre. Number 1. Sod busting the virgin prairie. From 1862, when the Homestead Act opened the Great Plains until the 1980s, the standard American farming dream was to break virgin prairie sod with a moldboard plow and convert it to wheat ground. The thick black topsoil, built up over 10,000 years of buffalo and bluestem, produced legendary first-year yields. A farmer could homestead 160 acres, plow it under in a single fall, and pay off his land in 3 good harvests. The Dust Bowl was the first warning that prairie soil, once broken, blew away. The 1985 Farm Bill sodbuster provisions made the second warning permanent. Today, plowing native prairie that has never been farmed disqualifies the land from federal crop insurance, USDA loans, and commodity programs. South Dakota and other plain states have added their own restrictions. Convert a 100-acre native prairie remnant to cropland in 2026, and you can lose every federal benefit your operation depends on and face fines from state game, fish, and parks departments that can exceed $500 per acre. Here is my challenge. Look at your own land. Look at how you grew up watching your father or grandfather farm. How many of these 25 methods did your family use? My grandfather burned his stubble every fall, watered cattle from the creek, and shot every hawk that came near his chicken coop. Today, every one of those acts would have cost him thousands. Drop a comment and tell me which one of these you remember from your own family. Tell me whether you think we got it right by banning these practices, or whether we threw out wisdom we should have kept. Because here is the truth. Some of these regulations saved the bald eagle, cleaned our rivers, and protected our health. Others took working knowledge from American farmers and replaced it with paperwork your grandfather knew. Now you know too.